'Tis spooky season, friend. And in the spirit of spooky season, we're doing a vlog where I read witchy spooky books. The goal for this video is to essentially finish my October TBR, at least the like 5 books of my TBR, because if you watched my October TBR intentions video, I shared I think 7 books that I wanted to read this month, but like 5 were like the minimum and there were like 2 bonus ones. So I've so far read 2 books this month and I have 3 more to go, which I'm hoping to read in this video. So this is going to be over a week long of a vlog because I can't read all of these books in a few days, but I think within the next week or so. So today is Friday evening and I have the full weekend ahead to get a lot of reading in, which is exciting. So the first book that we're reading and going to finish in this video is The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. I am reading this series in order of publication. The first book of the series that was published first was Practical Magic, which I read last fall. So I'm reading the next one, which is this one, and this takes us back to the 1960s following the Owens family. If you're familiar with the series and kind of the plot, it takes place across time depending on the book you're reading, and this takes place in the 60s, which I think's been really interesting so far. I am like surprisingly enjoying this book. I enjoyed Practical Magic, but I didn't love it. Like the writing was kind of off for me, but I also was going through a stressful time when I was reading it last year. If you've been around and saw my vlogs from last fall, you know what was going on. So it was, I don't know if that had anything to do with like my mind not being able to focus and the perspective I was coming at when I was reading it, but I was not excited to read this like initially, full transparency right there, but once I started it, I was immediately drawn in to the writing and fell in love with the characters. And so far, I mean, I'm at the 207 page mark, and the book's like divided into parts that are like 50 to like 70 pages long. So I have about 160 pages left to go. I don't know, I've become very emotionally invested in the characters and the story because we're looking at 3 siblings and they're all teenagers and just going through life as a teenager, but also discovering their lineage and their ancestry, and basically that they're witches and all the things that come along with being a witch. I find myself being very present when I'm reading this, so we're excited for this. Once I finish that, I want to reread Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which is over 200 pages. I haven't read this book in over 10 years and I thought it would be a good book for a spooky reading vlog for the season, so yay. And our final book is a graphic novel, Pumpkinheads by Erin Hicks, which I think's about 2 teenagers who work at a pumpkin patch and stuff happens. That's all I really know, but my friend Amanda let me borrow this and the artwork is like super cute, super Halloween-y, autumnal, and adding a graphic novel into your TBR is a great way to get a quick win because it's a lot easier and quicker to read a graphic novel. So I feel like I'll be able to read this quickly, and I could probably even start this weekend alongside The Rules of Magic if I need kind of like a little reading break. But speaking of reading breaks, I am currently on a reading break because I got back from my cemetery walk and I've just been chilling, made dinner, watched some baseball with George, and now I think I'm gonna make some tea. I'm gonna change into comfortable pants because it is way past pants wearing time at this point, people. Basically, I'm gonna get cozy. I'm gonna make some of my harvest tea from Trader Joe's, plop back down on the couch, and get some more reading in. Woo! So I just finished The Rules of Magic, and like I literally just finished it and like wanted to share my thoughts before I just forget because it is evening time. But I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. I definitely enjoyed this better than Practical Magic. Yeah, the characters, the feeling, the magical realism, and how Alice Hoffman like weaved magic into like real life, and just like the message behind the story. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I think I'm gonna watch the movie Practical Magic tonight because I need a reading break, and I've never seen that movie. Surprisingly, I never knew it existed and learned about it last year when I learned about the book series. So I think I'll watch that tonight. Then I'll start Frankenstein tomorrow. I've made it to the 26-page mark of Frankenstein, very beginning stages. My initial thoughts is that I have to like, again, get into the story as you need to do with any book, so I don't really have any like story updates, more like personal like feelings that yes, I am reading a classic and I haven't read a classic in a long time, and I have to like give myself grace and time to read through the writing, quickly starting to fall back in love with the story and remembering why I loved the book so much. But again, we're in the very early stages of the book, so not too much to report there. I am meal prepping at the moment. I have carrots in the air fryer, like whole baby carrots, because I didn't feel like cutting them up. I don't know the right time to put them into the air fryer, so I've been having to like do them, check them, redo them, do them longer for a long time at this point. I made burrito bowls to take for lunch to work, which just consists of brown rice, green peppers,
onions and black beans, and then I threw some sweet potato like cubes that I put in the air fryer, and then I'll pack salsa and an avocado and like a lime wedge. There's 3 of those, and I'm trying something new for George. He's recently gone into like grain bowls, so I'm really excited about that. Oop. Our carrots are done. So far I have brown rice, sweet potatoes, and then I'm gonna add carrots. I have zucchini that I need to cook still, and then George will just like add chicken and like fresh vegetables to these to make like a salad grain bowl. I think the carrots are finally done at this point. I don't want to put them back in. I've been really terrible with reading this week. It is now the next Saturday. We're into the second weekend of this vlog, and I've made good progress this morning with Frankenstein. I have about 100 pages left, but I did a major reading sprint this morning because I was just that behind. I think I can finish that by tomorrow, and then I think I'm gonna switch over and read Pumpkinheads today, because I wanted to show you guys also the art in here. But George and I are gonna go run some errands. I'm gonna take this with me so I can read it in between errand running, and I don't know what else will be happening. It's Halloween weekend, so let's finish our books and have some fun. finally finished Frankenstein. We did it. It took some effort towards the end, but I forced myself to finish this book before finishing and wrapping up this video. So freshly reread after over 10 years, 14 years since I read this in high school, and still an amazing book, still a 5-star read. I think this time around it was a little bit difficult for me to read because I am so used to contemporary fiction and modern writing that my brain had a hard time catching on with the older prose, but it was still like easy to read, like in that sense. I think of my younger self, you know, coming into novels and the classics in particular, and a lot of books that I tried to read that were just hard for me to read, and growing up as somebody who did not really enjoy reading or sought out reading. I didn't even really get into like reading at the level I am that you see on my channel until a few years ago. So it's astounding to me that I, one, read this book and loved it as an 18-year-old in my senior year of high school. Thank you to school and my English teachers for introducing me to these books and how they kind of did open the doors to me that there are really good books out there. And I just love the whole message behind this book around Frankenstein, and I won't go into a whole dissection because I don't want to put you through that, but like this version that I got, the 1818 text, it has like an introduction and a lot of like extra tidbits, and what I really enjoy about this book is just the historical context around Mary Shelley and her as a female writer who wrote this book in 1818. That's when it was published. It took her 2 years to write, and she was 20 when she finished writing this book, growing up in a time in France and Europe when women were supposed to answer to men and live their lives according to men, and if you were an independent, strong, vocal, intelligent woman, you were a threat essentially, but you were looked down upon, and that was not welcomed in society. And Mary was ostracized much through her life, and her fascination with death also ties into this book. It's just so interesting to read a novel and then learn about the author and how much the author's own experiences and history is weaved into the storyline. So I love all of that. And this one paragraph in the introduction written by Charlotte Gordon pretty much sums up this book. If you've never read it and just are kind of you want some kind of summary from me, Frankenstein is the story of one man's obsession with the creation of life and his subsequent abandonment of his creation. It is a study of guilt and innocence, creativity and destruction. But it is also a cautionary tale. By fearing the stranger, by abusing the vulnerable and the outcast, society creates its own monsters. So Mary Shelley is commentating on man's fascination for knowledge and adventure, essentially, which was a big thing all throughout modern history, but since the age of colonialism and exploration, especially in Europe, she's poking fun of that. Well, I don't know if poking fun's the right word, but she's commenting on that and how Dr. Frankenstein creates this creature, this being, thinks it's the greatest thing in the world while he's, you know, this is like his life's work. He's put all of his energy into this. This is what, you know, his goal in life was. And then the whole project thing, creature, backfires, so the thing he created isn't exactly what he wanted it to be, which I think is like interesting. And now in like 2022, when we think about, you know, I love knowledge. That is like one of my values in life, is like curiosity and being curious and always asking questions and just wondering about the world and things out there. So it's interesting to like read this and know that, you know, the dark side of seeking out knowledge is still there, and all these things can, you know, coexist at the same time. It's just fascinating to me. And also Mary's mother, who is Mary Wollstonecraft, who is a feminist in the 18th century. Can't forget that like other aspect. Mary's mother died a year after childbirth, so Mary Shelley didn't really get to know her mother at all, which is why she was also fascinated by death and rebirth and how all of that just gets put into this book. I love it. I love it all. I am happy that I was able to reread this during this season. Oh my gosh, I was just about to like watch my video after editing it and preparing it for export, and I totally forgot that I didn't let you guys know how I thought about Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This was such a cute little graphic novel. It definitely got me smiling and laughing, and I love the artwork and all the autumnal scenes and the fact that it takes place at this like farm where they have all these fun autumn things like a pumpkin bomb stand and ponies and a petting zoo and a s'mores pit and a succotash hut and a Gordy golf course and the haunted hacienda. I just loved the whole like ambiance and atmosphere of this, so this would be a really fun book to like read every year as kind of like an introduction to the fall season. I kind of wish I read it earlier, but it was the perfect read for this Halloween weekend. The plot was really cute too, like, so we gotta comment on the actual story too beyond the artwork, but I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Would highly recommend if you want a cute little graphic novel to add into your autumn TBR list. So yeah, now I'm finally done, I think, talking about everything. We read 3 books in this video. It took me a little over a week, but it's been not my best kind of like showing up to read type of week as I get ready for November and moving. Life is chaotic and will continue to be chaotic for the next few weeks, and that is why I'm probably not very good at focusing at reading right now because there are so many other things in my mind. But I'm excited for what the next few weeks hold for me, and I want to thank you guys for being here. I hope you had a happy and safe and fun Halloween if you are celebrating, and I will see you in the next video.